going to check my 3 identification lights in the middle of the truck, my 2 clearance lights on the outside of the truck, my high beams light, my low beam light, my PET lights. They're all properly mine secured. They're not cracked or broken. They're the proper color. I'm going to check the vehicle itself to make sure it's not leaning left or right, which would indicate flat tires, suspension problems, or a shifted load. I'm going to look underneath the front of the vehicle, make sure I don't see any excessive leaks under the engine compartment. Then we're going to pull the hood open and move to the passenger side of the truck. On the passenger side of the truck, we're going to do an overall view of the engine compartment. We're going to look at the engine block itself. I don't see any leaks on the engine block. I'm looking at all my hoses. I don't see any abrasion, bulges, or cuts on any of my hoses. I'm looking at any wiring harnesses that I might see on this side for frayed wires and loose wire connections. I'm checking my coolant reservoir, make sure it's filled to the proper level. The cap's in place. There's no obvious signs of leaks. It's not missing any nuts or bolts. I'm going to drop down to my water pump. The water pump's properly mine secured, no obvious signs of damage, no signs of leaks. Water pump is run by a serpentine belt. The serpentine belt shows no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no more than 3/4 inch play in the belt. I'm going to move back to my turbo and exhaust assembly. I'm going to make sure my turbos aren't leaking oil or water. I'm going to look at my exhaust system, make sure I don't see any signs of black soot, which would indicate an exhaust leak. From there, we're going to move to the driver's side. We're going to do an overall view of the driver's side. Make sure I don't see any excessive leaks on the engine block. I'm looking at all my hoses. I don't see any abrasion, bulges, or cuts in my hoses. No signs of leaks. Looking at any electrical wires that I might see. No frayed wires, no loose wire connections. From there, we're going to inspect our internally driven air compressor. It's properly mine secure. It's not missing any nuts or bolts. No signs of leaks. Looking for oil leaks and water leaks. From there, we're going to move to the power steering reservoir. The power steering reservoir is filled to the proper level. Cap's in place. No signs of leaks. We're going to check our oil dipstick. Pull it out, wipe it off, stick it back in, pull it out. Make sure it's between the add and fill marks. If we need to put oil in the truck, we're going to add oil here. It's going to be measured in gallons and not quarts. From there, we're going to move to our alternator. The alternator is properly mine secured to the truck. It's not missing any nuts or bolts. The wiring harnesses are properly mounted and secured to the alternator. No frayed wires, loose connections. The alternator belt, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No dry rot, no more than 3/4 inch of play on the belt. The alternator jam nut is present. No obvious signs of looseness. From there, we're going to move to our steering rod. Make sure the steering rod is properly mine secured. It's not bent or twisted. The steering knuckle shows no signs of looseness. It's properly lubricated. The steering gearbox is properly mine secured to the truck with its nuts and bolts. No signs of leaks. The power steering hoses, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No signs of leaks. The front pitman arm and castle nut are properly mine secured. No signs of damage or looseness. The drag link not bent, twisted, or cracked. No signs of damage. The rear pitman arm and castle nut are properly mine secured. No signs of looseness, not damaged. The tie rod is not bent, twisted, or broken. No obvious signs of damage. My front spring mount is properly mine secured to the truck, not missing nuts or bolts. My leaf springs are not cracked, bent, or broken, not twisted. No signs of scissoring. My shock absorber is properly mine secured, top and bottom. No signs of leaks. My U-bolts are properly mine secured. No obvious signs of looseness. My rear spring hanger properly mine secured to the truck. No signs of damage, not missing nuts or bolts. My air lines going to the brake chamber, properly mine secured, not abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no signs of leaks. My brake chamber itself, no signs of damage, not missing any nuts or bolts. The push rod and slack adjuster are properly mine secured, no more than 1 inch free travel in the slack adjuster. The push rod and slack adjuster are connected with 2 pins and 2 Carter keys. My brake pads are at least a 1/4 inch thick, square, not rounded, not cracked or broken. My brake drums are not warped, no signs of damage, no oil or grease inside the brake drums. My inner and outer sidewalls, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no signs of damage. My tread wear is at least 4/32 tread depth, even tread wear, no recaps. Tires are inflated to the manufacturer's recommendation. My rims are not cracked or broken, no illegal welds. My lug nuts are all present and accounted for. No shiny threads, no rust trails that would indicate looseness. My hub seal, properly mined secured, filled to the proper level, no signs of leaks. My valve stem, no signs of damage, and the cap's in place. My driver's side mirror is properly mined secured to the truck. The glass is clean, it's not cracked or broken. The weather trim on the windows in good condition, no signs of leaks. The door latch opens, latches properly. Lifting up on the door to make sure the hinges are tight. My weather trim around the door is in good condition, no signs of leaks. My fire extinguisher is properly mined secured inside the truck. It's in the green. It's a 5 BC for regular commodity, 10 BC for hazmat. I also have 3 reflective triangles and spare electrical fuses inside the cab. My steps are properly mined secured going into the truck. They will hold the weight of the driver. No slip, trip, or fall hazards. My left turn signal 4-way flasher is amber in color, not cracked or broken. My cargo door is properly mined secured to the truck. No signs of looseness. The weather trim's in good condition. My fuel tank, no obvious signs of damage. No signs of leaks on the fuel tank. The fuel tank straps are properly mined secured to the truck, not missing nuts or bolts. The fuel cap is properly mined secured and present. The rubber gasket inside is in good condition, no signs of leaks. My steps and catwalk are properly mined secured to the truck. No signs of looseness, not missing nuts or bolts. My DOT reflectors are clean and present on the back of the tractor. My vertical exhaust stack and vertical exhaust stack mount are properly mined secured to the truck. No obvious signs of looseness. No signs of black soot that would indicate an exhaust leak. My tractor protection valve is properly mined secured to the truck. The emergency line and service lines are properly secured to the tractor protection valve. The electrical line is properly secured to the back of the tractor. 7 pins for 7 holes. My air lines show no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. My electrical line shows no frayed wires. All 3 are hung so that they do not drag on the catwalk. My glad hands are properly mined secured. The rubber grommets are in good condition. My pigtail, 7 pins for 7 holes. The emergency line, the headboard of my trailer shows no obvious signs of damage. The clearance lights at the top of the trailer are properly mined secured, not cracked or broken, orange in color. My splash guard is properly mined secured to the truck, not missing any nuts or bolts. My frame rails and cross members are not bent, twisted, or cracked. No illegal welds, not missing any nuts or bolts. My drive shaft is not bent or twisted, no signs of damage. The rear universal joint and the front universal joint is properly mined secured, no signs of looseness, and lubricated. My brake system on the back axle. My air lines going to the brake chamber. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No obvious signs of leaks. My brake chamber. No obvious signs of damage. Not missing any nuts or bolts. My push rod and slack adjuster coming out of the back of the brake chamber. No signs of damage. No more than 1 inch free travel. The pins and keys are in place. My brake drums and brake pads. My pads are at least 1/4 inch thick. They're square, not rounded, not cracked or broken. The brake drums, no signs of warping. No oil or grease inside the brake drums. My spring hanger is properly mounted secure to the truck, not missing any nuts or bolts. My leaf spring, not bent or twisted, not cracked or broken. My 2 U-bolts are properly mounted secure to the truck, no signs of obvious looseness. My shock absorber, properly mounted secure top and bottom, no signs of leaks. My airbag located behind the shock, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts in the airbag, no signs of leaks, properly mounted secure to the top and bottom. My tire assembly. We're going to check the inner, outer sidewalls. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No signs of damage. Inner, outer tread wear. At least 2/32 of an inch tread wear. No mismatched tires. Even tread wear. We're going to make sure that the wheels have at least 2 inches of space between the tires and that the rims are butted together properly. We're going to check our inner and outer rims. No signs of damage, no illegal welds. We're going to check our lug nuts, all present and accounted for. No signs of looseness, shiny threads, or rust trails. The axle seal is properly mounted secured, not missing nuts or bolts, no signs of leaks. The valve stem, no signs of damage, and the cap's in place on both tires, and both tires are inflated to the manufacturer's recommendation. We're going to look down the side of the trailer, make sure we don't see any fresh damage to the side of the trailer. We're going to make sure that our DOT tape is clean and present down the entire length of the trailer. We're going to look at our bottom rivets to make sure none of the floor rail rivets are shaved off or missing. We would continue to inspect that as we walk down the side of the trailer. We're going to come to the fifth wheel assembly. We're going to make sure that the trailer apron is properly mounted secured, not damaged. There's no gap between the top of that trailer apron and the top of the fifth wheel. The fifth wheel skid plate is properly lubricated with grease. The fifth wheel skid plate is properly mounted secured to the platform. The platform is properly mounted secured to the truck with its mounting bolts. None are missing, none appear to be loose. The fifth wheel release handle is in the locked position. We come around to the back of the fifth wheel. We look at the kingpin, make sure we don't see any obvious damage to the kingpin. It's properly mounted secured. We make sure the locking jaws are locked around the shank of the kingpin and not around the head. We check our pet lights and our brake lights on the back of the truck. They're red in color, they're not cracked or broken. My reverse light is white in color, not cracked or broken. My mud flaps are properly mounted secured to the truck, not dragging the ground. DOT tape is clean and present across the back of the tractor. We check our landing gear. Make sure the landing gear is not bent, twisted, or cracked, not missing any nuts or bolts. The landing gear feet are raised completely up. There's no debris on top of the landing gear feet. We look down the entire length of the trailer looking at the trailer frame rails. Make sure none of the frame rails are cracked or broken. No obvious damage to the floor. We make sure our landing gear crank handle is in the stowed position and is mounted with its nuts and bolts properly. We check our driver's side turn signal, four-way flasher, orange in color, not cracked or broken. We come to the rear of the trailer. We check our trailer slide rail to make sure it's properly mine secured to the truck, no signs of damage. The tandem locking pins are in the lock position. The locking handle also in the lock position. We check our air lines to make sure they're not dragging the ground at least 16 inches off the ground. We check our air lines to make sure there's no abrasion bulges or cuts in the air lines, no signs of leaks. The brake chambers, no obvious signs of damage, not missing nuts or bolts. On the back side of the brake chamber, we check our push rod and slack adjuster. Not missing any pins or keys, no signs of damage, no more than 1 inch free travel. We check our brake pads, make sure the brake pads are at least 1/4 inch thick. Square, not rounded, not cracked or broken. The brake drum itself, no signs of warping, no oil or grease in the brake drums. The trailer spring hanger, properly mine secured to the truck, not missing nuts or bolts. The spring arm, not cracked, bent or broken, not twisted. My 2 U-bolts, properly mine secured to the truck, no obvious signs of looseness. My shock absorber, properly mine secured top and bottom, no signs of leaks. My airbag behind the shock absorber, no abrasion bulges or cuts, no signs of leaks, properly mine secured to the top of the truck. We're going to check our wheels just like we did on the previous axle. Inner, outer sidewalls, no abrasion bulges or cuts, no signs of damage. Inner, outer tread wear. At least 2 32 tread depth, even tread wear. 2 inches of space between the tires. The wheels are butted together properly. Our inner and outer rims. No obvious signs of damage. No illegal welds. The lug nuts are all present and accounted for. No rust trails or shiny threads that indicate looseness. The hub seal filled to the proper level. No signs of leaks, not missing any nuts or bolts. The valve stem not damaged, cap is in place. The mud flap properly mine secured to the truck, not dragging the ground, not missing nuts or bolts. The door hanger properly mine secured to the truck. Rear clearance light, red in color, not cracked or broken. Door latches at the top of the truck are latched properly. DOT tape is clean and present at the top. The hinges down both sides of the doors. Properly mine secured, not missing any nuts or bolts. The door handles are in the stowed position. The doors are latched properly at the bottom. The door chains are present at least 3 inches in length. The DOT tape is clean and present across the rear of the trailer. My identification lights are red in color, not cracked or broken. My brake lights, turn signals, four-way flashers, and parking lights are red in color, not cracked or broken. My tag light is white in color, not cracked or broken, visible up to 25 feet. My DOT bumper is properly mine secured to the truck with no obvious signs of damage. Get inside the truck. The first thing you're going to check your seat belt. Make sure the seat belt's not cut or frayed. Make sure it latches and unlatches properly. If you're in an automatic truck, make sure the truck's in neutral. Do a safe start. Turn the key on. Let the light cycle off. Crank your engine. If you had been in a manual truck, you would have pushed the clutch in, made sure the truck was in neutral. Crank the engine and then slowly release the clutch to make sure the truck was in fact in neutral. Once you get in the cab and start your engine, start your in-cab inspection. Check your mirrors, make sure they're properly adjusted for the driver. Check your windshield, no illegal cracks. It's clean, free of obstructions. The weather trim is in good condition. No obvious signs of leaks. The windshield wipers have proper tension with rubber to glass, not metal to glass. Check your oil pressure. Make sure the oil pressure is reading between 30 and 60. Check your temperature gauge. Make sure it rises to normal operating temperature as the truck runs. Check your voltmeter. Make sure your voltmeter is reading between 14 and 13. Check your air pressure gauges. Make sure the air pressure gauges are rising as the truck warms up. You're looking for normal operating pressure, 120 to 125. Drop back down. Check your four-way indicators. Make sure they work. Check your left indicator, your right indicator, your high beam indicator. Make sure they all function. Check your city horn. Check your road horn. Make sure they both work. Check your windshield wipers and washer fluid. Make sure they work. Check your defrost. Turn the climate control to defrost. Stick your hand on top of the dash. Make sure you have air moving on the dash. Turn it down to heat. Make sure you've got air moving on the floor. Once you've completed that, move into your brake test. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to check our parking brakes. We're going to put the automatic truck in drive. We're going to release the trailer brakes and make sure that the parking brake on the truck holds. We're going to give it a little fuel to make sure the truck doesn't roll forward. We're going to reset the trailer brakes and release the tractor brake. Do the same thing. Make sure the truck doesn't roll forward. Now we're going to check our service brakes. We're going to push both buttons in. We're going to roll our window down. We're going to roll the truck forward at about 5 miles an hour. Put our foot on the brake. Make sure the truck stops. It doesn't pull left or right, and we don't hear any unusual noises. Once we do that in the automatic truck, since we're sitting on flat ground, we're going to put the truck in neutral. We're going to shut the engine off. Turn the key back to the on position so the dash lights work. We're going to make sure both buttons are pushed in. And now we're going to apply 90 pounds of pressure to the brake pedal for 1 minute. We shouldn't lose any more than 4 psi. Alright, for the purpose of this video, my minute's up. We're now going to fan the brakes down to make sure that the warning lights come on at or before 60 psi. We start pumping the brake. The warning lights have come on. We're going to continue to pump the brakes down to make sure both the buttons pop out between 20 and 40 psi. Both buttons have popped out. We've completed the pre-trip inspection.